Good morning, everyone. We've got loads of people on today's session, so a big welcome to everyone all around the world. You can see lots of people from Poland. Hello to all of you, and lots from South Africa. Hello, South Africa. But a big welcome to everyone wherever you are in the world. My name's Tom. I'm with Faronics. So thank you very much for your time today. Thank you for joining today's session, which I hope will prove helpful if you're just trying to cut out those annoying IT problems that eat your time up, or maybe you're just trying to implement some more efficient IT processes. Whatever you're looking to do, I'm sure we can make you more efficient, save you some time, save you some money. As we go through the session, please just pop any questions in the Zoom chat, and I'll be happy to answer those questions at the end of the session. So I'm going to show you Faronics Cloud, which is like a toolbox for IT managers. So whenever you have a problem, there's a tool in the toolkit to solve it for you. But often those tools will prevent you from getting the problem in the first place. So the obvious place to start really is deep freeze. This tool is like a freezer bag. It's what we're most famous for. There's a lot more in the toolbox as well as deep freeze now, but I'll start here for people who haven't come across deep freeze before. Deep freeze is a reboot to restore solution. If you enable deep freeze in your policy, those workstations with deep freeze enabled, when you restart them, they will restart in their original pristine state. So any local changes introduced by a user will disappear on restart. There are several benefits to this unique reboot to restore functionality. So one is help desk tickets. Most help desk tickets will disappear on a restart. So any configuration creep, anything that a user may have done to harm a workstation, whether intentionally or unintentionally, those changes that local user introduced will disappear on a restart, and you can restart your workstation from the cloud. You don't need to be physically present next to the workstation to restart it. So you should see a large reduction in the volume of your help desk tickets with deep freeze. There are further benefits. You've got the security benefit. So you can set up as many layers of security as you like, and the more the better. But if something bad makes it through those layers, like if you get a virus or if you get an attack, that is eliminated on a restart. So it's an indestructible layer of security sitting beneath everything. You've also got the privacy benefit of reboot to restore. So suppose you're running a school or a library, anywhere where there are public facing machines where you have lots of different users coming and going through the course of a day. You don't want each user having access to the previous user's data, and deep freeze just solves that problem neatly for you. You also have the benefit of hardware degradation. With reboot to restore, every session starts with a clean, pristine workstation. So all that clutter that clogs up your machines over time slows them down, inhibits their performance. That just isn't there. So your expensive hardware is optimized. You get better value for money on your expensive hardware. So deep freeze is, as the reboot to restore solution, is one part of the overarching suite of utilities called Faronics Cloud Deep Freeze. So just showing you what that looks like in the product, I can just select a machine here and restart it from the cloud, or I could reboot it frozen or reboot thawed. I can carry out all kinds of other on-demand tasks like locking keyboard and mouse, send a message, run Windows updates, and I can manage schedules. So if the reboot to restore functionality is something that's going to be useful, for example, in a public-facing computer lab, you can set up, you could shut down all your workstations at the end of the day, and then you could wake on LAN at the beginning of the day, or you can restart or reboot frozen or reboot thawed whenever you like. You can schedule everything to happen, and you can have it happen on demand as well. You can preserve data across multiple reboots. So if you wanted, say, to exclude the E drive from reboot to restore, then any work that anyone does on the E drive is going to be retained across reboot to restore. Cloud Sync is another way of retaining data, because you can prompt your users to provide their Google Drive credentials or their Dropbox credentials or their OneDrive credentials. And then when a workstation restarts, the local data on that workstation will disappear. But if the user has provided their Google Drive credentials, then any work they do, say on documents or pictures or music or favorites, that is going to get synced back to their cloud drive, and they can come along, sit at a different public facing machine the next day, and all their work is preserved. So tool number one, the freezer bag. Tool number two is the clamp. WinSelect can clamp down the desktop experience. So using kiosk mode, you can say to your users, I will present you these elements and no more. So you can customize, for example, text, logo, date and time, power control, and you can allow access to certain applications and certain web links, but no further than that. So you're clamping down on how much harm your users can cause you. And there are lots more restrictions within WinSelect. So you can stop your users using right-clicking, dragging and dropping. You can clamp down on the control panel, the desktop and Windows taskbar, drives and file extensions if you want to disable certain drives, certain file extensions. Start menu, you can just turn it off, or you can customize it really carefully. If you want to set some network restrictions, you can do that. You've got an option there, disable removable drives, if you wanted to turn off, if you wanted to not allow USB sticks in your environment. So you can restrict the level of harm that your users can cause you. This is a powerful layer of security on top of deep freeze, which is an indestructible layer of security. The next tool is the electric sander. So that is software updates and Windows updates. So if you think about the amount of time you would have to take sanding if you were doing it manually versus the amount of time you can take on sanding if you have an electric sander, it's a similar thing with software updates and Windows updates. So there's a long list of pre-packaged software updates here. So you can just select the software you wish to deploy in your environment, and then you just have to set a time when you wish the software to be kept up to date. So between midnight and 1 o'clock on a Thursday would be a good time, because that's typically out of production hours. And all that software that you might have had to spend a long time packaging up, you can keep it up to date when you're asleep. You don't even have to think about it or notice it. And the same with Windows updates. So I can choose to perform Windows updates through Faronics Cloud Deep Freeze. So I might wish to always install critical and security updates. I can have an approval stage, and I can defer updates. I have settings around my patch scan frequency and what I want to happen after an update. So Windows updates, again, doesn't need to take up a lot of time, and it doesn't need to cause any disruption to your users. You have advanced options like the software updater cache server. So if you nominate one device on your network to retrieve those application updates from the internet, then it can distribute those application updates via your local network. So you are saving the bandwidth. So rather than having each device retrieve all the application updates from the internet, you can just use one device to do that and use your network to push them out. And the same with Windows updates. You can nominate a Windows update cache server. So you can schedule everything to happen when it comes to software updates and Windows updates. And you can also do it on demand. So on the applications page, you can see which versions of which software you're running and where. So having a look at, say, web browsers, I can see I've got Chrome running in black color there. So the black color means it's out of date. I've got a failed update there. I've got an orange color, which means that Firefox is out of date on that machine. So I could just select it and update it. I've got a blank cell here, which means that Opera is not installed on that machine. So I can just install it. So I always know what version of what software I'm running and where. I should never be guessing about that. And if I have applications, maybe unusual applications that didn't appear on the prepackaged list, I can add those in here, and then I can manage them from my grid. So here are the custom apps that I've added, and I can easily manage them. And also custom scripts. So I can basically do anything via a custom script, a PowerShell, VB script or batch script, and then I can easily just run those scripts from the applications page. And the same with Windows updates. So I can choose to schedule all my Windows updates, or I can do it on demand. So like I can just patch scan here or install missing patches. I can do it by category. So here on, I can see I've got an update here that I can just approve, or I could just approve all or deny, and I can do it by category. So like if I want to have a look at the critical updates, I might just approve all critical updates. So I can schedule it to happen in my policy out of production hours with no disruption to my users. And I can also use the on-demand functionality. So if I prefer to keep on top of everything, look at all the updates as they come in, then I can do that as well. So the next tool in the toolbox is inventory. So on the inventory page, I can see all my workstations, and I can see anything I might need to know about that hardware. So I can see the system drive usage there, I can see the processor, I can see the physical location, the IP address, I can see when the warranty expires. And if I have information there that I'm not interested in, like I don't want to know about the operating system or the location, but I do want to know about the RAM, then I can just drop that column in, and there it is. This is an auto-refreshing page. So I don't need to maintain spreadsheets about where all my hardware is and what state it is, how old it is. I can tag my machines and I can easily search and filter. So if I'm running thousands of machines, it doesn't matter. I can easily, it's an easily manageable system. And this spirit level allows me to make good decisions. I can keep the equilibrium of my workstations. Where there is a problem, it will become immediately apparent on this screen. And I can make management decisions based on the best available information. Like if I'm deciding where I need new hardware or replacement hardware, this information is really helpful. The next tool is appliers, the anti-executable module. So I can basically block executable files. So where I've got a problem, where I've got something nasty going on, I can just stop that executable file from being run across my computers. And I will be able to report on what's happening, like I'll be able to see activity report, block programs, where I've got violations, where people are adding to the control list. And I can just block ransomware as well. If I tick that box, enable ransomware prevention, I will be blocking a long list of known ransomware. So the sixth tool in the toolbox is the utility square, which is our imaging module. So it's really easy to image your machines from here. So I can just select that machine and image it there. I can capture an image of that machine if I want that to be used for, if I want that to be part of my library for future imaging. And I can customize it really carefully. So I can have different deployment packages for different parts of the business and install settings. I can have as many install settings as I like. So imaging is a tool that will keep your estate nice and square. You'll be able to maintain a consistent approach for your users. And if it's something that takes a long time for you, it doesn't need to anymore. Just to say thanks for your questions so far. I will answer them in about 5 minutes time, just at the end of the session, if that's okay. So the seventh tool in the toolbox is the drill. So with the reports and dashboards in Faronics Cloud Deep Freeze, you're going to be able to find out whatever it is you want to find out really easily. So for example, if I want to see which applications are being used, numbers of computers, number of users, this is all clickable and drillable. I can see my software license compliance, so I can see which software I'm running, how many licenses I've paid for. Of those licenses I've paid for, how many of those am I using and when they expire. So this report on its own will often save quite a large amount of money, because you may find that you are paying for software that you just don't use. You can see which computers are getting used. You can filter all these by date, and you can export to print HTML, PDF or CSV. You have some dashboards, deep freeze dashboard, anti-executable dashboard, Windows Update dashboard. So all the information you need about the performance of your workstations is available here. So it's a tool that will save you time, because you shouldn't need to be sourcing this information from lots of different places. So just to summarize these tools in the toolbox, so they kind of fall into categories. So you've got patch management, so you can manage all your Windows updates and your application updates really easily. On help desk, we have a ticketing module, remote connect is included as well, and imaging. And then you've got powerful layers of security. So deep freeze as a reboot to restore layer of security. That is unique to Faronics, and it's an indestructible layer. Whatever goes wrong with your computer, a restart solves it. And you've got your whitelisting tool, anti-executable. You've got the kiosk mode and the other restrictions in WinSelect, and you've also got antivirus. And then under inventory and analytics, you have access to easily available information that auto refreshes. So Faronics Cloud should save you money. The amount of time taken up on some of these manual tasks that can be automated, if you multiply that up, it's big saving. Help desk tickets can, to a large extent, be eliminated, and you don't need an on-premise server. You can manage everything from the cloud. So there's a big chunk of maintenance cost that's disappearing. It's a scalable investment. So if you have one workstation or if you have 10 million workstations, it doesn't matter. You can easily contract what you need. And Faronics Cloud will reduce the possibility that you may be hacked. And if you are hacked, it's a much easier cleanup operation. So just I can see one question there. Is it possible to get a trial license of Faronics Cloud? So yes, you can. There's a free trial available for 30 days. So if you go to faronics.com, you'll be able to sign up for the trial, and you'll be able to, once you've signed up for the trial, just need to install the cloud agent on the endpoints. Once that cloud agent is there, then those workstations will appear in the cloud console, and you will be able to manage them centrally from the cloud. So yeah, so you don't have to take my word for it. You can try it out for a month with no obligation, and you can see how much time you save in that month, how much more efficient you are. So just going to leave that QR code there during the Q&A. If you would like a more detailed demo, you can just scan that QR code to book a demo, and we can talk about the particular requirements of your organization and how we can best tailor the solution towards you. So if you have any more questions, please pop them in the Q&A now. I'm just going to answer the couple of questions there that I can see. Is software automatically applied during maintenance time, or is it done on the fly? So you can set it up either way. If you prefer to schedule it during maintenance time, you can do so. If you prefer to do it on the fly, you can do it that way. So I'll just show you that. So if you prefer to schedule a maintenance period, you select your devices here, and then you would just schedule your maintenance period. So like between midnight and 1 o'clock on a Friday, then that software is going to be kept up to date. So you can do it that way if you prefer. But if you don't want to do it that way, then you would just make sure that you wouldn't have this enabled in your policy. And then on the applications page, you can easily just push out and update all your applications from here. So you can do it either during your maintenance time or on the fly, or a combination of both. And just one more question there. Actually, I've got a couple more questions. This is available on premise, is a question. Yeah, partly, yes. So deep freeze, the reboot to restore functionality, that is available on premise. It's a product called Deep Freeze Enterprise, but that's only one of the tools in the toolbox. So the other tools, like the software updates, the Windows updates, the inventory, the imaging, that is only available on the cloud product. Okay, one more question. Can you move the on-premise to the cloud, or do you need to install the cloud client on each? So when moving from on-premise to cloud, you would need to uninstall the on-premise product and install the cloud product. They're separate products. So the first would need to be uninstalled before the cloud product can be installed. But that's a very straightforward process. So you would just need to set up your sites and your policies, and then you would just need to install the cloud agent on those devices. This is after having uninstalled the on-premise product. So there are 5 different options for installing the cloud agent on your endpoint. So you can download the installer to install on any computer. You can use Active Directory. You can just get a URL, might be easier if you only have a small number of machines. You can use deployment utility to scan your network and install on any computer. And the 5th option is you can download the full installer but not install it. So that's like the first option, but the first option will download and install. The 5th option will download and not install. Okay, thank you very much for your questions. Great to be with you today, and have a lovely day. We'll catch you on the next webinar. Bye-bye.